Casual Magic has been sponsored by Quiver, maker of the Quiver and Bolt deck cases and other fine deck holding accessories. Use the code CASUAL on their website for 10% off your order. This episode is also brought to you by Monopool, a fast-growing marketplace for Magic the Gathering that makes buying and selling cards easy. Their optimizer helps you get the best value when buying cards, and their team is focused on making it a great experience for buyers and sellers alike. You can also support Casual Magic directly by going to our Patreon at patreon.com/ShivamB. And now, on with the show. Hello, and welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of Magic the Gathering. Casual Magic is brought to you by Quiver and by Monopool and my patron to patreon.com/ShivamB. Today, I'm super hyped to welcome back a returning guest from episode 124, my man, magic artist and artist of the greatest logo in all of podcasts, the Shivam Wheeler Love Magic logo, my boy Schmandrew. Hey, man. I'm so hyped and so glad to see you now that you're a big deal, Mr. Fat. Like, I don't know, like when we met the first time, I think we just met on Twitter and we were just like friends and things, and you'd come on because you wanted to kickstart your clothes. And since then you have become an actual magic artist, and I don't know, you're sick, man. I love talking about you and your stuff up, and I'm super stoked to have you back here today, man.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Happy to be back. It is a little wild thinking about how in 4 years I went from not having any magic work, also just starting the Kickstarter to do apparel for the first time. And I think we actually, I think we interacted on Twitter, and that's how we like became aware of each other. But then I ran into you at Gen Con. Here I was about to do the Kickstarter for the apparel.
Right.
And I didn't even know you were there. I was just talking to like Olivia or somebody, and then you like walked over and I was like, oh shit, it's Shivam. Oh shoot, it's Shivam. And I walked up and asked you if you'd be interested in helping me promote the Kickstarter. And then that eventually led to the best podcast logo in podcast logo history.
I'm just saying, like when Wheeler and I were like talking about doing the show, and we were like, okay, we're gonna need art and a logo and a soundtrack and whatever. And I was like, and we were trying to figure out what did we want the show, because like when you put your logo out there, that is your face. That's the first impression somebody gets. That's when they're gonna look and say like, what is this? And we were like, what did we want to do? And it's like, well, whimsy. We want whimsy and we want joy, and we want it to feel like a Saturday morning cartoon, right? Like, like we want it to be two goofballs sitting around talking about things they love. And I was like, who could do that artwork? And that's when I was like, you know what? Schmandrew does like hyper super turbo colored things. Maybe you could do something. And I know it wasn't necessarily your style, but man, it turned out so well.
Yeah, I had so much fun with that, and to this day, one of my favorite parts is still Kakusha and the little tentacle things on his
turning
face,
into a
making
heart.
a little fart, making a little heart. Like,
it's every time I look at it, man, it makes me happy. Like you could see behind me on the wall there, one of our listeners, their mom went and cross-stitched the logo. Remember I showed you, I think, at one time?
You sent me a picture, and like I think you even put it on Twitter, but then I met that guy. Like he came up at a show. I forget what show it was, but he came up and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm the guy that did the cross, or my mom did the cross stitch of the logo." And I was like, "That's insane."
Isn't that cool? Yeah, Pywo, who was a member of Wheeler's community and dear friend of mine, a judge at like all these magic events, and like it's the coolest thing I've ever gotten from a fan. Not gonna lie.
As an artist, I don't think I've never had a piece of my artwork recreated in such a cool, like, unique medium before. Right? So that was one of those really cool, like, whoa moments as an artist.
No, I mean, I just look at it and I think about this a lot. Like, I mean, I should go over there and pull it down and like, but I don't want to pull it off the wall. It's hanging on the wall. I'm gonna leave it there. But it's more like the fact that she color matched and detail matched and got all the bubble. I mean, like that is not an easy logo to like.
Yeah, cross stitching is like, you might as well have just been like, oh, let me do pointillism and do
Yeah,
this, like,
in
massive
in
thing.
fabric, and it's like
So
you have
crazy.
to like cut and I mean, like it is just such an yeah. So
The
that's why
number
like
of times she probably pricked her finger with a needle, like, to make that too.
I don't think anybody's ever sewn my face before. It's so
May they
sick.
never sew your face again, because that would
I
be
mean that
unless it's cross stitch.
God willing. That was so cool though. But
Yeah.
yeah, like your vibe is one of my favorite like that's why I thought it was super funny as hell that like your first art shows up in Duskmore.
So, I think I've maybe told this story once or twice, but I was actually they tried to commission me for Aether Drift before Duskmorn.
See, Aether Drift feels like it fits you.
Yeah, and the reason it didn't work out that way is because they came to me and they wanted to do concept art for the alternate art style of Aether Drift,
Mm.
and, they were like, "Okay, it's a really quick turnaround, 3 weeks, like, we'll send over the stuff." We did a Zoom meeting with my AD, and she was, like, super psyched about it, and then, like, a day or 2 went by, and I, like, texted her and was like, "Hey, like, as soon as you send this stuff over, like, I'm so ready to get going, like, pedal to the metal, like, start working on these sketches." And there wasn't a response right away. And then I got like a, I'm so sorry, because they actually thought I already was in the Wizards like system to work
Oh
with them,
no.
and I wasn't, but they thought I was because I did an official Magic the Gathering art show at Gallery 1988 in 2018, and when I did that art show, I got approval to put the Magic the Gathering, like, official logo on the artwork.
What art did you do in 2018 that would have gotten in there?
So, it wasn't for, like, Wizards at all, it was, I worked with Gallery 1988 at the time, because
Mm.
if you're listening to this and you don't know what Gallery 1988 is, it is a pop culture art gallery in LA, and they do a lot of, like, alternate movie posters or, like, fun themed art shows. Like, I did a Tom Hanks themed art show with them where it was, like, only his early career, and just weird, fun themes for shows. And they happened to send out an email and they were like, we're doing a Magic the Gathering like art show. And I was like, oh, you guys don't even know how invested I am in this. And I made playmats, and so it was I did a piece of Chandra, and she's, like, on the ground and fire coming away from her because I'm a sucker for, like, in anime Naruto characters where they have this, like, a rage that unleashes all of their powers, and so I have Chandra, like, falling to the ground in a rage, um, and I made playmats of them, and I asked, the gallery, I said, "Hey, can I put the Magic logo on this and make playmats?" And they got approval to from Wizards that I could do that, but it was on my website and the AD saw it and she was like, "Oh, clearly he's in our system." And then found out I wasn't, and apparently it takes 2 to 3 weeks, AKA the the duration
Ha-
of the concept art job
mm,
to get, like, approved, and she was
ugh,
like, "I'm so sorry," and had to, like, take it from me.
no.
And I was so bummed for, like, a day or 2.
Yeah, but like that's like out of your control level of bum. That's like,
Yeah,
yeah, it sucks, but it's also like Watsy is such a slow company sometimes.
yeah. And then, like, a month went by, I think, and then she messaged me again, was like, "Okay, like, you're in the system now." Because after that, they were like, "We'll go ahead and get you in here for the next time." And fun fact, I passed like, check in, like, a week. So I was like, "Man, I could have done it maybe."
Yeah, but
But
that would have been real stressful, I think.
yeah, it would've, and I'm sure it worked out the best it could've, but back then, that version of me was like, "Oh,
Mm.
please, I promise I won't tell anybody." Like,
Yeah, but they still gave you like a bunch of really sick cards to do.
yeah, the first one, I wish they had, like, considered the fact that I play the game, because the first one they gave me was Meat Hook Massacre 2, and I was like, "I know Meat Hook Massacre," and they don't tell you if it's a reprint or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like, "Did I get a reprint? Or is this, like, a nerfed, like, uncommon version of this that's, like,
That would be
awful.
so funny. I mean, it ended up not being the greatest card of all time, but, like, the
Yeah,
problem is Meat Hook Massacre 1 is so strong that, like,
it definitely carries the franchise.
yeah. Meat Hook Massacre 2, like, the card design definitely feels like a straight to video.
It feels like they just stapled 2 of the original ones together, like, that's how I always
Yeah.
describe it when I talk to fans at
Yeah.
shows. But that was my first one, and I remember being so nervous because I knew, what Meat Hook Massacre was, and I was like, "Oh, man, like, I gotta do this justice. I can't, turn in something that I don't feel proud of."
Yeah. But it looks sick.
Thanks.
I mean, but tell me though, when they tell you like, "Hey, we wanna hire you to do this crazy '80s pop art horror set or pop horror set," and you're like, "I do shiny, bright purple and greens and lovely colors." What what was it? Was it, like, a little jarring to you, or were you just like, "Whatever, Imma do I'll draw whatever you tell me to?"
It's definitely a little jarring, and especially from, the outside looking in, but in 2021 and 2022, I actually did some work for a video game company,
Hmm.
it was going to be like a downloadable content for a horror video game, and it was basically a digital card game for that video game,
Mm.
and unfortunately, it never saw the light of day, but I did, like, 76 illustrations
Oh.
that are all horror illustrations with, like, a more muted color palette and a more comic book kind of style to it. Um, and I think the reason I eventually got hired to do the Duskmorn stuff was because I showed my art director when I met her in person in 2021, like well before, she ever hired me to do any magic cards. I showed her some of that work that I was doing at the time because we were in
Mm.
person. So I was like, oh, I don't have to worry about sending this via email and, you know, messing up
Mhm,
the
mhm.
NDA because it's right here on my iPad and I can show you very briefly and then leave with it.
Hmm.
So there's 76 horror illustrations I did that nobody has ever seen that I don't know if I'll ever get to show anyone ever.
Well, I mean, if nothing else, it counts as good practice.
It really does, and it also taught me how to do a project that big and how to
Mm,
manage, like, a lot of moving parts and pieces and not lose steam on the actual project.
mm,
And that was, like, a 9-month project of going back and forth with the art director and, you know,
mm.
working on, like, 15 to 20 cards in at once.
Man, and whatever that property is, just they decided not to make a game?
I mean, they kinda went the way of most of the video game companies in the last couple years and did a bunch
Right.
of layoffs,
Mm,
and unfortunately, my AD was one of the ones that got laid off, and when I contacted him after all that, he was like, "I'm so sorry," but he's like, "It's probably gonna get buried."
mm.
And I was like,
That
"Damn
is
it."
the games industry for you.
Yep.
But,
So
but that does mean, though, that when Watty comes to you and says, "Hey, we want you to do a horror set," and you're like, "Ah, I'm here. I know
yeah.
how to do this."
It's like, it's not quite my wheelhouse, but I can do it.
Yeah, and I mean, you still got to make all these things purple and green anyways, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah. I tried to push the saturation as much as I could
Yeah,
in
like,
in a lot of
Waltz of
them.
Rage is, like, such a vibrant and like, striking image for
Thanks.
something so terrifying looking.
Waltz of Rage was my favorite of the 3 Duskmorn pieces,
Mm,
and I think it was because I kinda got to the point where I felt a lot more relaxed working on it, like, I wasn't as stressed about, like, "Oh, these are your first cards, like, you can't mess up."
hmm. So, here's a question for you. When you do these, because you did, like, the alternate frame versions for all 3 of these in Duskborn, do they show you the original?
They do. They didn't show me the original for Meat Hook Massacre 2. I did get the original art for Unstoppable Slasher, and they also showed me the original art for, Waltz of Rage.
The original for Waltz of Rage is so sick looking with
Yeah,
that, like, floor and all the ghosts and everything underneath.
it was really cool to see those, and I think too when they showed them to me, it's like, looking back at it, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, those are the original arts," but when they first sent them to me, they didn't outright say, like, "This is the regular version of your card, and
Mm.
yours is, the really intense alt art version." But there was a moment with Unstoppable Slasher specifically where I was not making the character look like the character in the original art, and my art director was like, "Hey, can you just make yours look like this guy?" And then that was the moment for me where I was like, "Oh, this is the actual art. Like, this is the regular version." 'Cause I thought, like, they send you a big thing of concept art and a
Mm.
PDF that you can reference, and they usually mention specific pages, and so I just kind of assumed, like, "Oh, this character is just kind of like another one of the Razorkin on
Right.
Duskmourn, like, just make them have this vibe." Like, I didn't know,
And
"Make
they're like,
him
no, this
this
is like
one."
this guy specifically.
Yeah.
Also, I like your version a lot more because the original is terrifying. Like, just a head on top of that, like, 19 it looks like a well, the first one looks like an NES monster from, like, it's got, like it's a dude or not even an NES, but, like, even earlier, like, Atari NES era, like, early Genesis monster dude on a bouncing, like, spike wheel and everything. Yours looks like the hero on the cover art of that game going to kill that thing, right? Like, it's like a Mega Man versus a Mega Man monster.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'm like, yours is way cooler.
Yeah. With those ones, the haunted frame arts too, I remember they really wanted it to break the frame in some areas, and so
Mm.
they wanted it to feel like he was kinda coming out of the screen.
Yeah, I like the blade is kind of like poking out over the edge. It
Yeah.
looks very 3D. It feels like a card that would be a really good way to a card to shadow box. Like you
Mm.
buy like
Oh,
14 of these
yeah,
and cut them
that
out
would be
and pop them
cool.
out. You should do that. How come you don't do shadow
Cthulhu
boxes?
cards, Cthulhu cards, come on, man.
Dude, I've got a couple of his, and I love shadow box cards. I think those are the
That would be
coolest things
so
ever.
sick.
Yeah,
I
your hmm?
I I think, like, that's something where it would be fun to do, like, once, but then if
Yeah,
I did it, I feel like I'd have a ton of people being like, Can you make me one?" And then I'd be like, "I don't wanna do this anymore.
yeah,
My
because
hand
like
hurts."
your art is very there's a lot of elements to pop out.
Yeah.
We'd be here for a while.
Well, it's funny that you said pop out and, like, you've mentioned, like, '80s pop and things like that
Yeah.
because I call my style fantasy pop.
Yeah, that's why I wanted you to do my thing because you look like that. Yes, keep talking though.
But yeah, so with the Duskmorn stuff, it was very, very, it didn't occur to me at first that the art they were showing me, that those were
Mm.
the original versions, and then it was kind of a recalibration moment with Unstoppable Slasher where I went like, "Oh, got it,
Well,
got
why? What did your original look like? Was it just
it."
a different head or something, or
It was a lot more like I would say it was like a character, like, jumping, like, full on through the
Mm,
screen, like, there wasn't a whole lot of background going on. They were really spiky, they weren't as,
yeah.
they didn't have the scars and looked as, like, gnarled as that version.
I don't know.
Um,
Yeah, I like yours a lot. I think and that's a cool card too. It's
Thanks.
really annoying to lose too.
When I was working on that card, I was like, "Oh, it's called Unstoppable Slasher. It's probably like a reassembling skeleton. Like, it's probably gonna be like a common or uncommon." And then when it got spoiled, I went, "Well, it's not a reassembling skeleton, but it's kinda
It's just a
better."
reassembling skeleton that just also nugs you for half your life.
Yeah, and you gotta kill it twice,
Yeah,
so there's that.
it's so annoying, this card. And you have to kill it while it's still got stun counters on it, otherwise it's just gonna come back again.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank
they put the unstoppable in it for a reason.
Thankfully, I have yet to lose to it. There have been a
It's
few
an
games of
obnoxious
Commander where
card.
people have played it in the game, and I've just looked at it, and it's been my art, and I've been like, "You know you can't attack me with that, right?" And so far, it hasn't gotten through. I've either had a removal spell or, they didn't attack me, but every time I make that joke if somebody plays that art of Unstoppable Slasher against me.
That's so funny. But then, like, after that was Aether Drift, so did they, immediately take you from Dusk into Aether Drift?
Yeah, it wasn't very long after I finished Dustmorn, because I think I wrapped that stuff up like close to the end of the year that year. Because the timeline was I got the email just before Gen Con for Meat Hook Massacre 2,
Hmm.
and that was in 2023. And then I had that finished by Dragon Con, which was like September, early September. And then right after that, they gave me Unstoppable Slasher and Waltz of Rage, and I think I wrapped those up like in November. And then come December, January, they were like, "Hey, that project that you almost worked on, you can now work on."
Woohoo!
And you're not doing concept art. We have the style figured out for the bold drift, artwork kind of look and feel, and we know that you'd be perfect for this.
Dude, when I was working on the world building stuff for Eighth Drift, and they were talking about, like, like what the new Kaladesh, or now Avishkar, would look like,
Mhm.
and they were showing me all the art and the concept artwork and getting my feedback on it. And the tagging that looks sort of
Tagging
like
is so
fake
good.
Devanagari alphabet, and I'm like,
Mhm.
this is the coolest in the world. I need to have like playmats. I need to have tattoos. I need to have. Tell me what's going on. I need everything about it. So
Yeah.
I love that, like, all of the alt art cards in Aether Drift have like that sick tagging in the background.
Yeah, some of those alt arts of some of the vehicles are like some of my favorite pieces of art from Aether Drift, to the point where I started to just collect some cards from Aether Drift just because of the art, like no deck in mind for them.
Oh
Like I
yeah,
I
dude.
picked up all the graffiti Gear Hulks and
Yeah.
with no plan for any of them. And I was like, I must have like a foil version of each of these. I got them all and they're in a binder, and I think I'm only using one now, which is like the no, I've got two now, but at first it was only one with the blue white one. But
Mm.
that one's so mean.
Riptide Gear Hulk, which is a double striker that you put up to one non-land permanent for each opponent onto its library third from. That's a mess up card.
It's really gross if you run it with Mendicant Core and you copy it and you get to do two things.
Dude,
It's disgusting.
dude. That's the thing. Like, I haven't like looked at these new Gear Hulks particularly much, but every time I do, I'm like, wait, that's like messed up.
Mhm. That one's
But
really messed up, and so is Bright Glass.
well, yeah, Bright Glass though is even showing up in standard, man. Just being able to
Yeah.
tutor for people are like, oh, it only gets one drops. It turns out one drop enchantments, artifacts, or creatures.
They're kind
There's
of
a lot of
great.
things in
Yeah,
there.
I put it in my Toph deck, and if you don't kill it immediately after I play it, I will earthbend it and continue to go get more things.
Oh no.
And it goes and gets Zurin Orb and the Ozolith and
Soul Ring.
Soul Ring. It also gets Sylvan Safekeeper. It also gets Hardened Scales. Like there's so many things in that deck that I can go get if you don't kill it.
Wait a second. If you're Oh wait, because you earthbend it and then you pitch
Yeah.
it to Zernorb and it
Yep.
dies, and because it's an earthbent land, it comes back into play. Trigger.
Yep.
Oh, that is. I
it's
do not like this at all.
It's and then if you have any landfall triggers on the table, then it's really gross because you're getting all these one drops that are probably artifacts or zero drops and playing them for free and getting basically free landfall
Dude,
triggers.
Toph the Metal Bender is such a messed up card.
It really is, and I built it to the best of my ability that it isn't like super gross. So there's no Mind Slaver, there's no Stasis Coffin or Cage Sun. I put the modular creatures in because I love modular.
Yeah, I remember when we talked the last time. You were building a Zabaz deck or whatever the hell it
Yep.
is. The modular legend from
My little buzz
Rage
boy
3,
from
2,
I think it was
whatever.
2. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
But
that
it's
little
still, it's
guy.
just like, dude, Toph the Metal Bender's one and red green white for a 3/3. Non-artifacts you control are lands. Non-token artifacts you control are lands, in addition to their other types. And then you can earthbend, which means you put two counters on it and it becomes a creature. But that is an absurd ability because it doesn't say non-creature artifacts.
Mhm. And my favorite is when you Liquid Metal Torque Toph and then you Earthbend Toph so you protect Toph
Oh,
from any
Jesus
removal.
Christ. Okay, I might need to build that deck because that sounds
It's It's really
Stupid.
fun, and I kinda wanna build another version of it that's all, like, the baubles,
Oh
like, all
god.
the,
Like
like
the Mishra's Baubles and Friends?
yeah, all
The
those, all the spell
the little zero drop
bombs,
eggs.
like, all of those. Because I was
Oh
like,
god,
"That
that
would
would
be
be
so
so
fun."
stupid. That would be obnoxious, man. You're just recycling all these goddamn like aether spell bombs and whatever over
Yep.
well, not the aether one, but the other ones.
Yeah, and
Um
just drawing cards and
yeah, but like god, dude, I I love the world and the art of Aether Drift so much, and the cards were just not there for me, which
yeah,
uh makes
it's
me sad.
it was one of those things where I had to there was a little bit of a readjustment after Aether Drift because I was very spoiled with Duskmorn as a new
Hmm.
artist, and I was very fortunate to get 3 rares, 2 2 pretty good ones, well, 1 very good one in standard, and then 1
Hmm.
that was just like a popular card, and then Waltz of Rage, and then going into Aether Drift, they were like, here's commons and uncommons that aren't very good." And I had to have this moment where I was like, "Okay, Andrew, you got very lucky with your first set. You're
Yeah, like
very
they don't start
privileged, very
everybody with mythics,
fortunate.
man.
Yeah, like we need to readjust our expectations here because they can't all be like this."
Yeah, like that's the thing. I didn't even mention like normally when somebody gets their first art in Magic or whatever, it's like, hey, here's a basic land, or here's
Yeah,
like a random, draft common or something like
yeah,
that. Like look, every card needs art,
yeah.
so it's not like you don't need to, but you don't normally start with like the headliner mythic from the set.
Yeah, that was I still remember when that got spoiled because I was driving back from Dragon Con,
Mm.
and me and my assistant, he and I stopped at a McDonald's, like, halfway. So, like, 8.5 hour drive, 4 hours in, we stop at McDonald's. I opened Twitter, and I had, like, a million notifications. And I was like, "Wait, what's happening?" And then I had a text from a friend that was like, "They spoiled your car." And, like and so then we're just sitting in the car, like, we got our food, we're sitting in the car, he's eating, I'm on my phone, just, like, trying to respond to people because people are, like, asking me questions and stuff, and then, like, after 15 minutes of that, he's done eating, and I still have all of my food to eat before, like, we get back on the road because 'cause I've just been on Twitter responding to folks about Meat Hook Massacre 2 and friends that were texting me at the time, and so it was just a lot of, like, "Oh my god, this is crazy," and then I had to get back on the road and continue to drive 4 more hours. Yeah.
That's funny.
But, with the Aether Drift stuff, I will say now, it's always my favorite thing when people come up and they're really excited about the Aether Drift art I did because
Mm.
I'm like, "That tells me you just love the art, and that means so much to me." Like, it's not a card that you like that's really good and strong and powerful. It's just like you love the art, and so every time somebody comes up talking about one of those pieces, I'm always so grateful and happy. Um,
Well,
and
yeah.
those folks, like, make my day.
Well, because like, look, you did 3 cards, right? Air
Yeah.
Response Unit, Earth Rumbler, and Skybox Fairy,
Mhm.
and they look unbelievably cool. Like, the cards are not the best cards of all time.
Yeah.
They're in fact just, cards you would play in draft and then never look at again.
Yeah.
But they look sick. Like the Earth Rumbler, like when we were talking about doing shadow box cards, that one would look insane as a shadow box because the way the horn thing in the front
Mhm.
comes out and the way like you could do like multiple layers of that card going deeper. It's like you killed it. It
I
looks so good.
I had so much fun with Earth Rumbler, and also a fun little fact with Earth Rumbler art for anybody listening. If you get an art card of Earth Rumbler, the art is different than the art on the card.
Yeah.
Something happened
Oh, there's
where
like some like there's a white layer that's missing
a white
or
layer
on
that's
the art
missing,
layer.
and the bug guy is facing the vehicle and not facing the camera.
Whoa!
Because
That's so
I
weird.
in the initial version of it, he was facing the car, and there was that white layer in the background, but it got approved, and then I got paid and everything, and then my art director, like, a week or 2 later was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry, we completely missed this. Like, we'll pay you a fee to change this and have him facing the camera." So I did that, turned it back in, that got approved. Something must have happened though with that, new art, and I don't know if, like, it was communicated to the team that did, like, the art cards or what, but for some reason, the art cards are the old version with him facing the vehicle, and I don't know what happened to the layer of
Yeah,
white
like
in the
where did the
background.
entire white layer go?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's one of those things that when anytime I talk to like an attendee at a con or something, if I give them one of the art cards, I'm always like, "Hey, fun fact here," like, and I point that out, and they're always like, "Whoa."
That's so weird.
Yeah, I don't know how it happened. My AD was even like, "I don't know what happened. Like, that's so weird. Like, usually that does not happen."
Yeah,
I'm
like
like, I'm
how
not
do you
mad about it. Like, it's kind of a fun little like
okay,
fun
like I
fact.
can understand like, hey, we sent the art file over to the team that does art cards before, and they
Mhm.
printed the original version of the art, and you changed it, and we swapped it on the real card. I get that. I can see how that would happen.
Yeah.
I don't see how you get to also we took a layer of the art off.
If and this gets into the nitty-gritty of being a digital artist, the one thing I can think of that happened is, when you're working in either Procreate or Photoshop, there are things called layer masks where you
Mm,
can paint out parts of a layer and basically erase them, but you're not actually erasing them. And that
mm,
is so that if you end up needing to bring them back in, you can just go in and paint out part of the mask and bring that, part of those pixels back in. And one thing I've noticed from working in Procreate is that sometimes if you use a layer mask in Procreate, when you bring it over into Photoshop, um, it doesn't always lock the layer mask. And so when you go to move the document, maybe you're taking the whole file that I made, the layered file, and you're moving it into a new document for, say, the art card.
mm.
If that layer mask is not locked, it won't bring it won't, like,
Huh.
bring it over, and it'll, like it'll look like it's not there anymore, and it'll change what the artwork looks like. Because 'Cause I've had that happen to myself several times where I work in Procreate, bring it over into Photoshop for my own purposes, and then, I move the file from one thing to another, and suddenly the artwork looks way different, and then I had to go back
Wild.
and then lock the layer and then bring it over. So
Yeah, and I guess
that
if
could be what happened.
yeah, and if they're just moving fast and just like not thinking about it, they've just
Yeah. They've been doing it for, hundreds
yeah,
of cards or something that
right.
day,
Like
and
they're just putting the sheet together. They don't and they just take your original file and import it and paste it into wherever it needs to go.
exactly.
And they're probably not looking too closely because whatever, it's like the 400th graffiti art I'm looking at. It's
Yeah.
all pink blobs and stuff, right? It's like, uh, that's crazy though. Like
Mhm.
when you saw the card come out, were you just like, wait, what happened?
It did take me a minute because I was like, "Wait, it's not right," and then I even had to go get, like, a regular version of the card
Mm.
and, like, compare them, and I was like,
Did you talk to an AD afterwards?
yeah, I texted the AD that I worked with on it, and I was just like, "Hey, just so you know, like, I noticed this," and she's like, "Whoa, that's so weird," like, because she's like, "We fixed the artwork and it got printed the correct way."
Yeah, right? Like, as long as a real card looks right, then
Yeah.
whatever.
Exactly, and I just think for the art card, it just makes a fun little story that,
Yeah, it definitely
if
does.
somebody really likes that one, that's, a very unique thing, and I don't know if that's happened to any of the other
No,
pieces
but
of
n like,
artwork.
now I'm just staring at it though, like, because I've got your, Skyfall page up, and I'm just looking at it like, "Oh, damn, they really are just like that's so cool. That's so weird." But it's like it's weirder though because, like, the little robot guy, like, you didn't change the posing or anything. I mean, you moved him a little higher up on the car, but,
Yeah.
like, the body shape and the arm is up, but, like, on one side, his chest and head is going this way, and the other side, his chest and head and going that way, and I'm like, "How does that work?" I don't understand, like,
That was
his arms are still here, but his body is, like, invert oh, no.
it was so tricky to figure that out because I had already painted him and he was a little silhouette, and I was, like, happy with him, and then they were like, "Can you just have him facing the camera?" And I was like, "How can I make this as easy on myself as possible?" And so I figured out a way to, like, keep the pose exactly the same, and, like, the head, I think, changed a little bit, but for the most part, like, the whole stance of him and everything is exactly the
Yeah,
same.
he just, like, basically took his torso and turned it around,
Yeah,
like
and
R2-D2 style or
it
something.
it kind of broke my I remember it kind of broke my brain a little bit that day when I had to sit down and start working on it because I was like, "I've never done this before."
Like,
And
how
I
do
was
I make
like
his head on the back of his head?
Exactly.
And it's like it's for a detail that nobody but you and the AD are even gonna look at, right? Like,
Mhm.
oh, that's so wild. Um, but I think my favorite though is still like air response unit, just because I think that I like the way the graffiti looks on the back the best. Like it just did so like when you were drawing the graffiti, because presumably you did the background on its own separate layer as opposed to and then you like draw the thing and then you paste some. I don't know. How did you do these cards? I guess instead of telling you how you did it, how did you do them?
So with the graffiti stuff in the background, kind of what I mentioned before, they send us like a file that has a bunch of concept art and
Mm,
everything that we can kind of go back to and use as reference in our paintings. They had several pages in this PDF that were just like samples of like graffiti on Avishkar. And it was
mm,
so cool to see like all these different versions, and they didn't say what any of them meant or if they had even, placed a meaning on any of them. And it was just kind of like they encouraged us in the background to just take stuff from that and kind of put it in the background. And
mm,
so I would always start with taking one of those and by hand, like very quickly tracing the shapes. And then I would get rid of the original screenshot or whatever from the PDF. And then I would start to use like the perspective warp or like the skew feature to like
mm,
make it feel like it was in perspective and like really big behind the vehicle. Um, and then just kind of add fun little flourishes here and there, like little starbursts or little like Earth Rumbler has a lot of like little like smoke or like explosion kind of
mm,
like cartoon explosion shapes behind it, and just kind of adding all of that in, and then the
making it look
real
like
the
graffiti.
real tricky one, especially with air response unit, was it was the last one I did, and I'd finished the others, like, a month prior, and so it
Mm,
was just enough time in between that I forgot the rhythm of making the other ones,
uh-oh.
and so by the time I did air response unit, it was very much like, "Oh, wait, I need to learn how to ride this weird bike again," like, this bike that, like, is very difficult and has a lot of moving parts. The other thing that gave me a tricky time on air response unit was they specifically were like, "This one is, like, in Amonkhet, so, like, you need to have sand, and it needs to feel like this." And I remember going like, "Okay," in the previous ones, I was using, like, oranges and yellows in the background
Mm,
as, like, brighter colors to then put, like, a darker thing that was either, like, blue or purple or green in front of it,
mm,
and it worked because there was these very light colors in the background and these darker colors in the foreground. But then on air response unit, it was like everything is kind of orange, and so how do we make that pop?
mm,
And if I tried using blues in the background, blues and purples tend to be darker values on the value scale,
mhm,
and the trick was when you desaturate the whole image, like, the value structure needs to hold up so it shows, so it's easy to recognize and
what do
even
you mean
without
by
the color.
value structure?
Value structure is like if you took a black and white photo of something, so going from pure white to pure black. So every shade of gray from white to pure black
Mm,
is a value structure. And that's what every illustration has to have. And if it doesn't, it won't work right. Um, and if you desaturate it, like my goal is that the value structure always still holds up because some colors can make themselves look like different values when they actually are darker or lighter.
mm.
Um, and it's really tricky, and the I'm getting way too into the
No,
nitty-gritty of
dude, I
color.
mean, you tell me it's detailed or not, but I love this. I love learning.
Um, I this is when the college professor in me comes out because I used to teach at an art school. But
When did you do that?
I did that from
You seem so young.
2015 or 2016 to 2021. and I'm 35 right now.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
You
I
you
got the
look
baby
way
face.
younger
Yeah.
than
I had that happen at, SCG Portland this past weekend. Somebody was like, "I thought you were, like, 29," and I was like, "Thanks, but no." And he was like, "Well, you're youthful," and I was like, "I appreciate that." I was like, "I've definitely crossed the threshold into now appreciating the baby face versus hating it like I'd used to in my, like, early 20s." Um, but yeah, the color theory aspect of air response unit was really tricky because the blues and purples, I kept desaturating the whole piece, and the blues and purples were like the same value as a lot of the oranges and yellows.
Mm,
And I was trying to make sure that even in black and white, the background was separated from, the
mm,
vehicle and the person on riding it and
yeah.
everything in the foreground. And so that was really tricky to, like, dial that one in. I remember probably spending, like, 2 hours one day on the couch, like, just, like, going layer by layer and kind of adjusting things and, like, desaturating it and seeing what
Yeah,
it looks like and
that's
going
such
back.
a that's so interesting to me because, like, your art is all like, to my mind, is always hyper saturated, it's hyper vibrant, so
Mhm.
having to, like, mute it and keep it still in its vibrancy is really that seems really challenging.
It can be, especially depending on the piece. Like, I also ran into a little bit of the same issue with Tezzeret when I did the Edge of Eternity's artwork for the collector booster, packs and box.
Mm,
He was really tricky because I had already used, like, all these oranges and purples and yellows and really, like, wonderfully warm tones for, Halia, and then when I
yeah.
got to Tezzeret, he needed to be all of these, like, blues and greens and purples, and so it was tricky to, like, balance the 2 sides because the blues, greens, and purples are a lot darker in value,
Mhm.
and he's against space.
Yeah, like, black background.
And so making him stand out, making him feel just as important as Halia on her side, where she's also against space, but she's these bright, oranges and pinks and purples, like, she stands out a lot more, and so
Right.
it was really tricky, like, because 'cause I'd done her first, and then I was going in and doing Tezzeret and balancing the 2.
That's wild. Like, I'm looking at the booster pack. I didn't know that you had done the booster pack art for that,
Yeah,
but it looks sick. I mean, I
thanks.
like the way the light shines on him, and it, like, kind of the way the lighting comes down in front of him, it it definitely makes him highlight against the black background. Like,
Yeah.
the reflections are really good in there.
And it was also tricky to get his, like, his, like, flesh color right because I kept getting it, like, way too muddy and, like, washed out, and it didn't look
Mm.
right, or it was, like, too blue, and then he kinda blended in with the rest of his, like, the metal on him and everything,
Yeah, and especially on a
and
booster pack, you have to be able to make it grabbing for people to wanna come to, right?
yeah, and there were a couple times where I was like, "Oh, it's too muddy, and it doesn't fit with anything else in the whole piece, like, this is the only spot where it's muddy." But Tezzeret gave me a lot of challenges, but I finally got him.
I didn't know that, like, so was that cool when they were like, "Hey, we want you to draw the booster pack?"
Yeah, that one was really cool because I got to actually work with my friend Lauren Brown, who you met at, MagicCon Atlanta, who I brought her over to introduce the 2 of you to
Right, right,
each
right,
other.
right.
So I worked with her on that because she does, like, marketing stuff and does, like, packaging, artwork a lot. And when she came to me, she was like, "We really like this piece of yours, Anticipation," one of my own personal pieces. And it's a space piece and it has this, like, character with a space helmet. And she was like, "Do this, but magic." And I was like, "Got it, cool." And I to the point where I told Lauren this after I finished the piece and it was approved and everything. I was like, "Just so you know, I used the same reference image for the character in my piece Anticipation as I did for Halia. I
Good.
just changed the, like, hair and, like, the clothing and everything, but I was like, 'You told me to do this, but magic.'" And so and she was like, "Honestly, that's hilarious
Great.
and very smart because I didn't have to, like, go find a bunch of new images and reference and
Yeah, I mean,
whatnot."
that is actually, like, about as slam dunk and easy prompt as you can get, right? Like, just, "This, do this. You've
Yeah.
done this already. Just do it again, but make it look like Magic the Gathering. And you're like, got it. Can
Yeah.
do that.
And it was really fun for me because I love doing portraits. So getting to do some named characters for the first time in Magic was really, really fun.
Yeah, and Tezzeret's like a big deal, man. It's Tezzeret.
Yeah, I had so much fun with that claw hand. I actually have I needed a reference for the claw. I kept trying to draw it, just like make it up out of my head, and I was like, it doesn't feel right. So there was one day I spent like 3.5, 4 hours making this like claw hand out of cardboard,
Oh God.
and I still have it. It's in my closet back there. Um,
Your
and
closet.
and I just like spent 3 hours making this thing out of cardboard and chipboard and like hot glue, and was able to then get like perfect reference images of it.
That's amazing. That
And
feels like such an artist thing to do. It's like, okay, I can't figure out how to do this. So I'm going to build it and
yeah,
then we'll figure it out.
and then we'll use this, take photos, and then draw that based on the photos. And it was very fun. I have a bunch of goofy pictures. I think I posted them when the art got spoiled. I posted the photos to Blue Sky of me like posing in my PJs with this like ridiculous cardboard claw arm.
Yeah, but it totally makes sense, though, especially like when you see things like Jason Rainville jumping up and down or doing
Yeah.
poses or whatever. I mean,
Yeah, Ryan
artists got to
Pancoast
look
doing
at
all
something, right?
that stuff. Yeah.
That's funny. Also, though, how sick is it to just go around and see your art on a booster pack?
It's really wild. It was really wild during spoiler season because like the packs hadn't come out yet, but influencers had them.
Mm.
And so I'd just be scrolling through my FYP, and then suddenly somebody would be holding like the pack with my art like on it, and I'm like, "What? That's wild!" Or even like, what channel was it? There was some YouTube was it the Try Guys? There was some big channel, kind of like the Try Guys, that they were like playing Magic in a video, and in the background there's just like Edge of Eternity's booster box like behind him, and I'm like, my art right there behind the Try Guys. That's cool.
That's sweet, man.
And so there's a lot of those moments that I feel like happen where like I'll see videos of content creators or like like even like the folks that drop out playing Magic and stuff, and I'm like, hey, it's me. It's cool.
Yeah, and every time you look at Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic, you're like, wait, I drew that.
Yeah. No, I always love talking to people who come up and they get like a Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic sticker, because then I'm like, oh my God, like I love the show. And then I feel like they're always a little bit surprised that I listen to the show, and I'm like, no, I love Magic. I play Magic too. Like,
yeah, it's like
I
I'm
just
not just
really hyper focused on this thing that I love, and now I'm here, which you know very well.
I wouldn't know anything about that. What are you talking about? How dare you accuse me of such slander, of me being hyper focused on something to the point of having multiple podcasts and having dedicated my entire career to this?
Hey, we're in the same boat.
Yeah, but it's like I was so happy when you announced that you were getting cards, the same way I was in like our buddy Joe got his first cards, because I'm like, you guys are just like fans, and watching fans make it makes me so happy.
It's truly wild. Like I think we talked a little bit about this ages ago. After my first Magic Con, there were so many moments at my first Magic Con where like people probably didn't know this. They probably came up, had an interaction with me, and left. But like I, as they walked away, was like, like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, because there's another customer right behind them, and just having to like keep going. But like there were so many moments at my first Magic Con where I was like, this is so surreal, because like I grew up in Indianapolis and I would go to Gen Con every year as a kid. And I remember going up to artists with cards and being like, I love this card so much. It's in my type 2 deck, and I have like, they're all foiled out. And can you sign these? Like, I play them, and then this happens, and this is how the card works. And then to fast forward to my first Magic Con in Vegas in 2024, I had like the first day, probably in the first 2 hours, somebody come up with a play set of Unstoppable Slashers, and they're like, I have 4 of these in my standard deck, and like, I love this card so much. Like, this is so like, oh, like I'm so excited to have you sign these. And like they left, and I was just like,
It's only the first minute. Gotta hold it together.
Yeah. I was like, I can't keep doing this. I'm gonna be doing this all day if I let it happen this time. And so it was such a cool, like, full circle moment, and there were so many of those moments throughout, that Magic Con and continue to happen at most Magic Cons. I feel like I always have several wonderful moments like that with customers and attendees at the show.
It's always just it's so flattering and fun to be
Mhm.
like, "Wow, you listened to the thing I put out or you look at the thing I did." It just
Yeah,
because like, when 'cause, the creative life, right? Like, we do a thing, we throw it into the ether, and we never think about it again, or
yeah,
we never think anybody's gonna pay attention to it. It's just
mhm.
gone, right?
You're like, "I
And
made this for me."
yeah, it's like
It's cool that you like it too, but I made this for me.
yeah, it's like, "Look, dude, Wheeler and I are gonna talk about cards anyways. It just
Yeah.
happens we hit record."
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, oh yeah, like I feel like too in creative endeavors, it's like the ones that people gravitate to are the ones that you as the creator are also passionate about it.
Mm.
And that's another reason why I love talking to folks who come up and get like a sticker of Shivam and Wheeler or playmat because I get to be like, I just love how passionate about everything magic related Shivam is. It makes it so entertaining and so like it's so contagious. And then they're like, yeah, and then they like grab the sticker and they leave. Like,
Dude,
I
I love those stickers. They make me so happy. I
yeah
remember the first time I was walking around and I saw a playmat and a sticker out in the wild, and I was like, "Wha what? You
yeah.
have one?" It's like, "Well, what do you think I bought it for, dude?" It's like
Hell yeah. My
That's
favorite is when
awesome.
they bring the playmat up and it's got yours and Wheeler's signature on it. And my favorite one I think was there was one playmat that Wheeler signed Wheeler underneath Wheeler on the
Yeah, under the
mat,
letters, yeah.
but like wrote it as spaced out. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like it was just signed underneath. It was just like
Oh, yeah,
WHE.
no, we've started doing that with them now. Like, I think early on, we just kinda signed them, and then
Yeah.
at one point, he would just, like I think either I did first or he did, where he wrote his name out underneath, like, one letter at a time, and then I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, well, I gotta do the Shivan Plus." And
Yeah.
now, like, sometimes when people come up to me with, like, LRR play mats or whatever and Wheeler signatures on there, I will have to write my name plus, like
Like
we're, like,
next to
dating in
his.
elementary school or some
Yeah.
crap.
Oh my god, that's so
It's
funny.
so funny.
The,
Um,
like, heart around his.
I don't love him that much, man. When we have to stare at each other for hours, it gets to be a lot. Oh my god. But, yeah, dude, I don't know. I'm just this is awesome. I'm really glad you were able to come on. I love talking to you, and also just, like, it's fun hanging out. Like, one thing so I wanted to ask you before we, like, wrap up is, like, you also do a lot of, like, weird merchandise and, like, you have that big, I've started to use it as, like, the marker for your booth, the big kind of hanging, the cloth hanging of your artwork.
Oh, yeah.
Wh what is that? Like, has anybody ever bought one of those? Why do you what do you do with it?
Yeah. So, several of my friends who are also artists that, they do mostly stuff in, like, the Comic Con spaces and anime cons and things like that, and it's, the wall hangings, the woven art, the blankets, all the different names for them, a lot of folks do those, a lot of artists make those, and they work as really great backdrops.
Mm,
2, they look really cool, and they're, like,
reasonable.
actually usable things that you can, keep on your couch. Like, we have one downstairs that's from a friend of mine of, like, a Pikachu asleep on top of a Snorlax in this,
Oh,
like,
geez.
beautiful setting, and, um excuse me, and we use that all the time, and it's on our couch, and then we have, like, another one that's, like, another, kind of environment and beautiful piece of art, and so I take those to shows that if I have the space and I can actually set up, like, a backdrop, and I'm not flying to the show, I'll take those, um, but it's really fun to have those behind me because it's, like, a nice backdrop, and then on top of that, if people wanna get them, they can,
Mm,
um they're not, like, the most popular thing, but what I always do with them is I just have 1 of each in stock, and then folks pre-order them, and then I have my, like, manufacturer that makes them ship directly to them.
mm.
So, like, I don't have to stock, like, I don't have to keep like 10 blankets at all times, like in my,
Yeah,
it
that
would
seems like it would be
add
a
up
lot.
and be real heavy.
Yeah, seriously. Oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, dude. So, with these last few minutes, what do I want to talk about? Um, I don't know. I like. Oh yeah, your signature.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
last at like Atlanta or either Atlanta or the con before that,
Mhm.
all of you guys start like one thing you've noticed if you ever go to the artist aisle in Magic Cons, you will see that there's artists who do signatures and like they'll charge you $1 for like the signature, and then they'll start being like, oh, I'm going to do multicolored signatures, then I'm going to do shadow signatures, then I'm going to do hot foil signatures, then I'm going to do like take this iron brand and stamp it onto the card
Mhm.
signature, then I'm going to tattoo the skin of a like a calf and sacrifice it to Mordok and then give it to you as a signature. Like like it gets more and it feels like you guys are just finding ways to entertain yourselves by getting more and more and more elaborate. And
It
then your signature got like insane with the super graffiti block of just like full text block art signature. I'm like, at some point, your signature is gonna be bigger than the card, dog.
Yeah. So it's funny that you mentioned like, oh, it just seems like we're doing this to entertain ourselves, because that's how the graffiti signature was born. Because I was literally, so it's funny that we're recording this just after I get home from SCG Portland, because a year prior at SCG Portland, when Aether Drift came out like that weekend, I think it was after Friday, I was like looking at how well I did that day, and I was like, okay, I was like, I deserve a treat because I did pretty well. And I went and bought a collector booster box of Aether Drift, and I opened two of my cards
Yeah, let's go.
and in foil, and I didn't have the artist proofs yet or anything, so I didn't have them in my binder to like show them off. So I put those copies in the binder, and then there was one day where I remember it was being a little slow, and I was like, "You know what?" I was like, I'm gonna sit here and do a fun graffiti signature." And I just started doing it for myself for fun. And then this guy came up, and he came to my booth again this year, but he came up and he saw me working on it. He goes, "Hey, can I buy that?" And I was like, sure." And he was like, "How much?" And I was like, and just like threw out a price. And I think I remember he ended up paying me like $5 more than what I told him, because he was like, "No, like, you take more money, please." Um, and he walked away, and then I was like, "Oh, I should do that on the other one." And then I did it on the other one, and somebody else bought it, and then I went, "Okay, I have MagicCon Chicago in like 2 weeks, and it's like the Aether Drift MagicCon. I should make more of these." So I did like some pre-signed artist proofs with those signatures, and priced it at like $60 and put it in my binder. And then when I was working on those, I was like, well, I can't leave Duskmorn out. Like, I can't leave the set that was my first Magic set out of this. So I came up with a glitch signature for it.
I love that one.
The glitch one is real popular, and that one I owe it to Miranda Meeks, another Magic artist, because at that same SCG Portland last year, she was next to me, and somebody asked her to do like a glitchy kind of signature, and she was like, "Hey Andrew, check this out." And so like I had seen it, and so then like a week later when I was trying to think of an idea for my Duskmorn like specific signature, I was like, "Oh, I should do like a take on that like glitch signature." Like that was really cool. And so I did a couple test ones on like some other cards I had opened from Duskmorn, and came up with the glitch signature. And then just recently, at SCG Atlanta, I started doing my Furby specific signature, which is the same price as the graffiti signature. And that one, it was because a guy came up and he was like, "Can I get a graffiti signature on this Furby card?" And I was like, "Well," I was like, "technically it's only for Aether Drift," but I was like, I'll do something Furby related." And he was like, "Yeah, sounds great." And he walks like two booths down. And then I went, I have an idea. And I saw him and I was like, I need to go run this past this man before I do it. And I ran down and I was like, "Hey," I was like, "I had an idea for your Furby signature." I was like, and it goes back to when I did the sketches for the Furby command tower. One of my pitches that I really wanted to do, that I was hoping for, because it was really unhinged. Like it was this crazy long Furby tower, and insane. But it also had a sun with sunglasses in the background. And anytime I send in sketches to my ADs, I always write little, like, maybe 2-3 sentences about each sketch, like, here's this one and the concept to it. And I got to that one. It was like the last one. I was just like, I don't know. Furby just gives sun with sunglasses vibes. And that was my, that's all I wrote for that one. They didn't pick it, but for this man's graffiti signature on his Furby card, I was like, what if I did a sun with sunglasses and then put my signature in the, like,
Oh,
the
Lord.
reflection on the sun? And so I ran down like 2 artist booths away from me and I was like, hey, are you cool if I do a sun with sunglasses that kind of looks like a Furby? And he was like, yeah, go for it. So now I've done probably 4 or 5 of them, and I need to reprint my little signature menu with that one added. But
I forgot that you had done a Furby card.
Yeah, a lot of people.
That's so weird.
The funniest one was Chase didn't know that I did that, and Chase was like super excited about the Furby secret layers and got a bunch of them. And I popped into their Twitch stream as they were like talking about like Furby stuff and whatnot. And I very quickly became apparent to me that they didn't realize I did art for the Furby secret lair. And so then I started being like, hey, like, can you grab that command tower? Like, I just want to take a look at the confetti foil of it. And then they like got it and they were like holding it up to the camera and everything. And then in the chat, I was like, hey, can you tell me who the artist is? And then their reaction is honestly on their probably on their Twitch channel as like a
highlight
or something. But it was just so funny because they were like, oh my god, I can't believe I didn't realize that you did this. Like, I was just looking at all of these earlier today, and then they were like, oh my god, you're telling me I could put this in my secret lair deck? And it was just so funny because I thought that they knew I did it, and then like
they're just
5
putting you on
into being on the Twitch stream, I was like, wait, no, they don't know. And so that I got to ask leading questions until they eventually were like, oh no.
That's so funny though. That's so funny.
It was
so
funny.
Dude. All right, Schmandrew, if folks wanted to find you or your art, where could they go?
If you search Schmandrew Art, that's SCHM Andrew Art, you'll find me. I am under that on pretty much every social media. I'm most active on Blue Sky, and if you type that into Google, you'll find my website. It's just schmandrewart.com, and I have an online store where you can get a lot of different stuff there. I am working on a website update, so a bunch of my products that are new will be up hopefully soon, like card sleeves from Dragon Shield, as well as maybe some foil playmats and individual tokens, which is new for me because previously you could only get token packs. Yeah. So I'm trying to get it updated so that you guys can get individual tokens and get exactly what you need and not have to get 24 tokens altogether just to get 2 or 3 of them. So yeah.
And you can pick up a Shivam Wheeler playmat.
You can.
Or sticker. Yep. Highly recommend.
Yep.
Big fan.
I got both of them.
Yeah.
And if you shoot me an email and you want me to sign it, I'll sign it before I send it out.
Oh, that's cool. I should do that. No, I have the first one you ever printed, which is still my personal playmat.
Hell yeah, dude.
I love that thing. Anyways, my dude, thank you so much for coming. It's been a delight and pleasure to talk to you as always. My friends, you can find this show, you can find me on Blue Sky at Shivam Bhatt. You can find the show anywhere podcasts are sold or at YouTube every Tuesday. Thanks to my editor, Dan. You can hear me on Shivam Wheeler Love Magic or on the Chronicles Dragonlance podcast. And remember, my friends, it's not magic without the gathering, and we'll see you